Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 408. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we're going to be talking to Mr. Melvin Graham, documentary film producer of the upcoming documentary series on Amazon Prime titled Black Business LA. Now, if you heard me talk about BEB in LA, my live event several weeks ago, this is actually the event. So feel free to watch it on YouTube or listen to it on all your major podcast platforms. So if you missed it, you guys can actually see it here. And we had a dynamic conversation with Melvin and his team about Black entrepreneurship, his entrepreneurial journey, and why he felt it necessary to highlight Black businesses in LA. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, don't forget my new rebranded, rebooted BEBAcademy.com. Get 3 days free access to the Academy, and you'll get all the entrepreneurial resources you'll need to build your business, BEBAcademy.com. And today's show is actually sponsored by PodcasterWeekly.com, the newsletter. So if you're interested in building a 6-figure podcast and you need the resources and information to do so, go to podcasterweekly.com and subscribe to their free newsletter. Now, let's get ready for today's show, and make sure you watch it on YouTube also, because we had a great time in LA. So the next minute or so of the podcast is the trailer for Black Business LA. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can watch the trailer. If you're listening on any of the major podcast platforms, you'll be listening to the trailer of Black Business LA. Then we jump right into the interview.
According to the LA Times, the U.S. saw a boom in Black entrepreneurs last year, even as the economy struggled during the pandemic shutdowns.
In terms of the restaurant, we could have been shook about that because nobody could have ever imagined that a pandemic would have such an effect on everything. I mean, I've been here since 1950. I never saw anything like that.
When COVID hit, I don't want to say I had a heads up, but I kind of heard through the pipeline that, things might be getting shut down pretty soon. I didn't know if I believed it. So when it happened, it was like, oh wow, this actually really is a thing.
The surge of new Black-owned businesses was the largest of its kind in the last quarter century. But can they survive?
When we can control the money within our community, when we can control how those monies are recycled, that's how we're able to continue to build even more businesses.
We have to give a Black business the benefit of the doubt, because if you compare them to a white business who's totally financed, go to the bank and they get all the money they need, their business is probably going to run a little better than another business who was short of money.
The average Black person is not gonna get a good job. Like let's be all the way real. I don't got all the terms and terminology to say, you feel me? But in layman's terms, we don't fit the criteria that they set for us to get a job. Like there's a lot of black successful people in the work industry, but these days it's better just to be your own boss, man, for real.
So I felt that it was imperative for me to control my economic wherewithal. So that was one of the motivating reasons for me to start my own business and take control of my future.
As long as black folk have no wealth and no economic base, there'll always be a dependent underclass. You haven't got a snowball's chance in hell of being able to make it without having economic power. And I don't see anybody in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party now talking about the things I talk about how do you enrich black folk and make them a competitive, independent people.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming out to BEB Live in LA. This is our first live event, and we're blessed to have Mr. Melvin Graham and his team from Black Business LA. And we're super excited about this opportunity. And what we're going to do today, just to lay the framework, we're going to interview Melvin here. We're going to do a Q&A afterwards. So any questions that you have for Melvin about his film, his entrepreneurial journey, any questions about my entrepreneurial journey, business, your business, or whatever, please feel free to ask. It's an open forum. It's nothing but family here, and we're super excited that you guys came out to allow us to share Melvin's story. So first and foremost, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jay Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint podcast host, serial entrepreneur for 20 plus years. Started 17 businesses, 5 of them were abject failures, another 5 were so-so, a couple of them were pretty good, and I was blessed to be able to create 2 multi-million-dollar businesses. But during that process, I almost lost it all twice. So I've seen the gamut of the highs and the lows and pretty much everything that's in between. So that's my backstory. My podcast has been rocking for over 7.5 years, over 403 episodes. So make sure you guys go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com or BEB Connect, which is the shortcut, and make sure you guys subscribe. And what the podcast is about, and that's why Melvin is here, it's about building an economic power base in the worldwide black community by building and supporting black-owned businesses. And so the only way, guys, that we're going to be able to move and continue to move forward is with economic power. I say something on the podcast all the time. There's no revolution without economics. Economics funds everything: education, media, what Melvin is doing here, schooling, everything, politics. So we need to understand that education is the key. Without education, without money, finances, nothing is going to happen, guys. So we need to focus on building and supporting black-owned businesses. I just want to add real quick, one of the things that I just posted not long ago was about building your own last name. So we talk about all of these designer brands, Gucci, Ferragamo, Balenciaga. And what you're doing literally is you're building somebody else's legacy. We have so many different great black-owned businesses, designers, filmmakers, producers that we really need to support. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the Q&A also. But with that being said, that's about me. Melvin, tell them a little bit about yourself personally, and then we're going to jump into your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. Well, my name is Melvin Graham. I'm a filmmaker. So when I say filmmaker, I'm more of a post-production guy, and I also work in all forms of media, so multimedia person and also filmmaker. I'm from Washington, D.C. originally. What brought me here to California was when I joined the U.S. Navy, and post-Navy, I went to broadcasting school, or actually no, I went to media art school, which includes broadcasting, of course. And that's where my film journey had took off as well, because while I was working in radio, I also did short films, and I did a lot of political events in terms of debates and also shows on the radio as well.
Cool.
Yes,
now, I wanted to ask you, is this your first foray into entrepreneurship, or did you do something prior to this?
Actually, I had 2 businesses prior to having the one that I have now, Rental Squad Industries, LLC. I had a production company prior called Mental Scope Productions,
Okay.
which I did with a couple of college buddies. And one thing that a lot of filmmakers and mainly production companies run into is capital.
Right.
It's having enough capital to get it going and get it off the ground. But despite that part, we did a few good projects, but ultimately we end up dissolving it because, like I said, lack of capital can sometimes create blockades that are unexpected.
Right. What was your second business? You mentioned two.
My second, and I had another one called iFilm Media,
Okay.
in which I was encompassing all my skill sets from radio to film.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want the light bulb to go off real quick, guys. Melvin just talked about two businesses prior to Render Squad.
Right.
So my question to you is, what made you continue to move forward after those two businesses stalled out?
Believe it or not, I listened to your podcast. And
Oh, man.
when I say hard times, I was going through hard times. I was literally picking up trash by the border at a place called San Isidro, right in San Diego. I was doing like labor-ready jobs, contract jobs, because I pretty much gave up on, my entrepreneurial journey, or business journey, that is. And so I was just taking jobs, just trying to, make ends meet. And so one time I was picking up trash. I was really hating life at the time. And I was listening to your podcast, and you talked about not giving up. You talked about, we go through so much as entrepreneurs in terms of, trying to get investors and things of that nature. And then it really inspired me, very, very much inspired me to give it another run, not give up. Because, I feel like my personality type, I'm not good in terms of working for people. I'm good with working with people.
Right.
And a lot of the concepts that you had covered on that particular podcast it just gave me inspiration to keep going.
I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
Glad I could be a part of your journey, brother.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask, once you decided to make that step, were you single at the time? Or married?
Yes, I was
You were
single.
single at the
Yes.
time? Okay. All right. So the only person you had to worry about was yourself, right?
Exactly.
So you didn't mind eating peanut butter and jelly or anything, right?
Oh man, either that or sardines and water. It didn't matter.
Because one of the things, and I know there's some entrepreneurs in the audience, one of the things that I always tell people is that it's a journey, it's a process. Nothing that you start when you're an entrepreneur is going to go from 0 to 100. You're going to go through ups and downs. And if you're not prepared for that, recognize and understand that's par for the course. And so when you look at most successful entrepreneurs, they're going to tell you the same story that Melvin has told you, the same story that I've told you on the podcast for all these years, that it's ups and downs, but being able to stick to it. And I wanted to ask you, Melvin, what was your why? Why did you continue to stick to it when you were going through such trying times?
It had to be a better way. You know what I mean? Like, there was no way that a guy like me, I have my bachelor's degree in media arts. I had a associate's degree in graphic design. Also graduated from broadcasting school. I'm like, I have the education. I also have the hands-on experience too. I just knew it was a matter of time. But like I said, the things you covered on that podcast, should I say, reassured that I was doing the right thing in terms of giving it another shot. Because most people just give up and then they just get a 9 to 5 and that's pretty much their career path. But me, I knew there was more.
Well, that's powerful.
Right.
A lot of times, guys, we'll get confirmation from places. Be open to the things that you hear, the people you talk to, the signs that you get. Because when you're down at your lowest, many times you'll get confirmation that, you know what, I need to continue to move forward. I need to get this done. And I wanted you to explain to the audience out here, how do you feel now being a successful producer and filmmaker versus where you were? Can you explain that to people, how that feels?
Honestly, and I'm not, and some people say I'm not capping or making this up, but I really am living a dream in a way. I'm here, I'm here in Los Angeles. Didn't think I would make it here, and the fact that I'm able to operate in a space where I'm confident and I can speak, in great volume about what comprises of a good film or what comprises of a great production. I know I'm at home. I know I'm finally living my purpose, and then to to have this project, documentary series, Black Business LA, and to be able to talk about Black economics and showcasing Black businesses who gone through the same journeys as us. I feel like I'm doing a great service to my people, and that's my purpose in life, is to help our people and provide a platform in which we could gain great insight from.
Now, with media and the way we're portrayed, what do you feel, or how important do you think it is for us to be able to portray ourselves in media?
It's so important because, I mean, how can you talk about the Black experience if you're not Black, right? When it comes to the Black experience and how it's being showcased today, we're much more than just entertainers. I know I'm in the film industry, I know I'm a media guy, but I'm gonna say that anyway. We're more than just entertainers. We're more than just athletes. We're such a unique people considering our story here in America. And that needs to be showcased, and that needs to be the focus sometimes. Everything can't be, Kanye and Will Smith, right?
Right. And don't think about it, all right? Don't nobody come up here and don't even think about it. We got our peoples out here now.
Right.
So, but that makes sense. You mentioned earlier about financing.
Right.
So with this project, and we're going to jump into the scope of this project.
Sure.
But in terms of the financing of this project, how did you get the financing, and what are you doing? Because I know you got more projects in the works.
For sure.
What are you looking to do to help move these along?
Okay, well, we'll start with the first part. I know you asked about the financing. A lot of out of pocket. Also, my executive producer who's sitting here with us, Sherman Perryman. I was renting equipment, and I was using workarounds to be able to have the different looks in terms of how the interview setups are. So it was a lot of workarounds, a lot of out of pocket and renting. But when Sherman came on board as an EP, he actually went out and purchased equipment for the production, which allowed me the flexibility to just schedule anything and shoot anything I want to shoot. Because when you have your equipment and you're able to have that type of flexibility, you can work around other people's schedule that you want to interview. Right. And by him being an LA native, he also brought a sense of credibility to the film, because I'm not an LA native. And one thing about being in LA, a lot of times it does come down to who you know. And he was he's a great asset because of his involvement, and he's a native. Sir.
Now, talk to me about the process. So where did the concept come from, and the process of putting it all together in terms of scheduling the interviews? Who did you decide to reach out to and why, and things of that nature? So if you could just start on where the concept came from.
Okay. The concept, well, my wife and I, we were heavily involved in, should I say, in a lot of Black empowerment movements. One we worked with was ADOS. One other one that we have right here, that's going on right now, FBA, Foundation of Black Americans. So we've always been on the forefront for Black empowerment, be it reparations, be it just us progressing and forming a sense of code and how we can better our economic situation. So that had a great deal to do with the inspiration. Also, Dr. Claude Anderson as well, and a lot of his work with the Powernomics. And then just seeing, being here in LA and seeing what Black LA was and where we are now. And it started there. Well, my wife and I, we go to Leimert Park all the time and support Black businesses there, right? One of the problems is, though those Black businesses in Leimert Park exist and they're there, there's not a lot of ownership. So at any brink of the moment, they can be bought out, right? And so the whole idea of Black people having sustainable businesses that they own was a great inspiration too.
Okay. Now, in terms of the series, because it's not just one documentary, it's actually a series.
It's a series.
How many entrepreneurs have you interviewed for the series?
Over 30.
Over 30?
Over 30.
Okay.
I want to say about 38 Black businesses total, but I'm just going to give a rough figure there. Over 30.
Okay.
And they all have various different stories, considering the industries that they're in.
Okay. What made you decide to pick these specific businesses? Was it access to the possible business owners, or did you seek out specific business owners to be able to put them in your documentary?
Well, I mean, my scope was real small originally. Like I said, with my wife and I been avid supporters of Leimert Park, I was going to keep it there and just do a film in Leimert Park. However, when Sherman came on board, and then one of our other producers, Dominique Scoggins, came on board, the scope sort of widened because now we were able to reach out to, say, Kathy Nicholas. Kathy Nicholas. She's the granddaughter of the Nicholas brothers, the tap dancers.
Tap dancers. Yeah.
So her, Sherman knew quite a few people that we can interview, like Free Ray Rick. Like in the video we just watched with Lloyd Muhammad. So when the scope started to broaden more, that there was just more than just Leimert Park, more than just the Crenshaw district. Next thing you know, we're in Santa Monica. We're in the Valley, and of course we reached out to Tariq Nasheed. He came on board and did an interview with us too. So once the scope started to broaden, I knew it couldn't just be a film; it had to be a documentary series.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, that makes a lot of sense, man. In terms of filmmaking, well, let's go back to the financing.
Okay.
So right now, I know you have big plans, not just Black Business LA. Mm-hmm. When we talked off air, you talked about taking it to different areas around the country, maybe even the world. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Hey, you never know, bro.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of being able to finance that, what are you looking, or how are you trying to do that?
Well, we have a Indiegogo campaign, in which we're looking to raise funding there. And that's important because though Black Business LA is a concept designed specifically for Los Angeles, the whole fact that we have the simple fact that we have Black businesses across America, this simply means that the concept is broader than just LA. We can do a Black business in Chicago, we can do a Black business in Louisiana or Atlanta or Philly, or where I'm from, or Washington, D.C. But for that to happen, we definitely need that type of support on the funding end, so we can have this content. Because, like I said, it could be more people that was like me, who heard someone like you, who were on the entrepreneurial journey, who just need that little push, that little bit of inspiration. And to have a series like this would inspire the youth to go out and, should I say, become entrepreneurs and, should I say, develop their skill sets to a point to where they feel comfortable selling what they can do.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That makes a lot of sense, brother. In terms of your 3-year and 5-year goals, what goals have you set for yourself and your company for those terms?
Well, by Render Squad Industries being a multimedia company that's very proficient in post-production, I'm looking to do a great multitude of projects. One, we like to take the Black Business LA concept and make that a, should I say, national concept. Also, there's other genres that I want to dabble in. There's a lot of dramas and action things that I want to do, and that are in the works as well. So the next 3 years, I just want to have a nice catalog of different genres of film and shows. Yes, sir.
So do you want to just stick to documentary, or you're going to go?
Well, I want to do another series of documentaries, and I don't think the people here in LA are going to let me stop with one season. So, so I'm going to say, of course, we're going to do more documentaries or docu-series. But there are other projects I would definitely like to do, especially on the drama and action front. Okay. Yes, sir.
Now, I know your film, the series is going to be distributed on Amazon Prime.
Right.
Can you talk to any aspiring film producers about that process, and how did that go with you being able to distribute on Amazon Prime? Talk about that process.
I'm gonna be very transparent about that part. Black empowerment is not an easy sell. We see a lot of us in new Black media. We see a lot of us in Black media in general who struggle to keep platforms going. So the sustainability of it is not quite there yet, right? So what I would tell the aspiring filmmaker or producer is that, a lot of funding may not be there if you're trying to do it on the Black empowerment end, but there's other collective things you can do in terms of, like I said, if it's a multicultural thing, because say, for instance, you do an action film, that may not be a specific black thing. That may be a multicultural thing. When in terms of multicultural, there's a lot of funding for that. Okay. But for black empowerment, it's not. And the way I think the counter to not having a lot of funding in terms of black empowerment content, self-distribution. Right. Like Amazon Prime is one, Vimeo is another. I know for certain now, Peacock is now doing it. That's the NBC off-brand. So there are options. It's just make sure you have the right group of people around you and in the right areas too, and all functions of production to be able to get your product off the ground.
Speak to me about the monetization of the film with Amazon Prime and your other monetization opportunities. Where's the money? Obviously, you got to fund it, and now you have to recoup and hopefully make more money than you spent. So talk to me about the monetization aspects of your film.
Well, the monetization aspect, I mean, the good thing about landing spots like Amazon Prime, it does come down to your viewership. And based on your viewership will determine how the value based upon, should I say, the clicks and the clicks on, should I say, the content on Amazon Prime or Vimeo. Vimeo takes about 1%. Amazon Prime takes about 6 to 8%. So your return on investment looks good on those platforms. However, once again, the self-marketing aspect of it is going to play the key role there.
Right.
Because if you're not able to market efficiently, then you don't have, that's going to hurt your viewership. And you need that viewership. And just and to break this down into a more visual aspect, it's like, for instance, if my film or any product I have in terms of media or film is shown in a movie theater, those tickets are going to determine, how well it did or how bad it did, whatever the case may be. So it's the same concept on a streaming platform when we look at, the metrics.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So can you break down, and I'm just curious about this, so if I put a documentary or a film on Amazon Prime, how do I get paid, or what are the metrics behind that? So based on the number of sales, do you get X percent of the actual sale price of the movie, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's all broken down by percentages.
Okay.
Actually. And so I know this I don't know. Mm-hmm. However, I'm going to go by the same model I'll just do it this way. So it's like on Vimeo, every month they will, shall I say, disperse funds to your production company based upon the metrics, and that's done on a monthly type deal.
Okay.
However, like I said, the self-marketing aspect is on you.
Gotcha.
So the legwork, it's a lot of legwork. It's just a lot of legwork on the marketing end to get those numbers to be in the positive, so you can see return on investment.
So I want everybody to be cognizant of this. So when we got the fire stick, the broken fire stick, right? That doesn't help brothers like this, right?
No.
But one of the things that we have to do is start supporting our businesses, and you really do that by Hip Pocket National. I talk about a lot of times, and I don't want to digress, but I just think this is very important. I talk about a lot of times where we'll nitpick about pricing when it comes to a black-owned business. And sometimes the reason that a black-owned business may be selling the same product at the higher prices, they may not have the group buying power to be able to purchase it at a lower level where they then can sell it at this rate. And a real-life example is I was talking to a brother that owns a corner store in North Philadelphia. And right across the street is an Asian store. And in that store, the Asian community in Philadelphia, they use a co-op group. So when they buy wrap snacks or whatever, they're buying wrap snacks for 15, 20 cents less than the brother that's buying by himself. And so when the brother sells his for 20 cents higher, and people are like, oh, he's just trying to get us, that's not the point. The reason is that, number one, we're not working collaboratively, so he should really be working with other people, other small business owners to buy collectively. But another thing is, I guarantee you that if those two stores are sitting there that sell the same thing, and the Asian store had higher prices, every Asian person would still go to that store. They wouldn't go to the brother store, because they know that they understand the importance of economics and supporting each other. And so we need to support each other, even though it may cost a little more. So we don't mind when we spend money, once again, on certain brands, because that, quote unquote, gives us status. But there's all types of black designers, black filmmakers, black business owners that need our support. And once again, the only way, guys, that we're going to continue to move forward and progress as a people is by supporting black filmmakers like Melvin, black business owners like there's many in the audience out here today. And we have to be intentional when we do this. It's not about, I'm not thinking about it. Let's start being intentional in where we spend our money, weaponizing our dollars, not in a negative way. Weapons can be used for defense also. So you want to weaponize our dollars and focus them and take the time. I guarantee if I took a poll of everybody in here and I asked if you shop online, I guarantee 100% of the people will raise their hands. So just as simple as we have this supercomputer right here, we can go and we can buy and rent Melvin's film. We can go buy products and services from black-owned companies, but we have to be intentional about it. And I didn't want to go on a diatribe, but I just wanted to put forth the impact that this can do for our businesses. So as opposed to this brother not being able to get this film out because we're not supporting him, that's a travesty. So that's the stuff that we need to really focus on, man. And I think that it's imperative that we do that. One of the things, man, in terms of marketing, you touched on that real quick, because the only way that you're going to make money and continue to be able to move forward is by marketing. What are some of the things that you've done to market your project right now?
One, I brought on a publicist, and you spoke to her. Her name is H. Harvey.
Yep.
And one of the things she's been very adamant about is presence, and using every single social media platform to showcase content. And that has helped with the marketing, and also just being as visible and transparent as possible. Like me, I'm a type of guy that like to sit behind the camera, edit my content, and go about my day. That's what I like to do. However, when I, having Harvey on board, she's pushed me to go out and do interviews. She's pushed me to go out and should I say, speak on platforms that I normally would just listen to and not necessarily participate in terms of being a guest on. And that has helped quite a bit. The visibility and being able to market the trailer the way we've been able to.
Right.
So, yeah, content consistency on every social media platform, and not being afraid to go public and speak about the project.
Yeah, one of the things, and I was telling Melvin while we were speaking before, I get a lot of people in black-owned businesses that reach out to me. And when I saw the title on the email, Black Business LA, I'm like, all right, it looks all right. I get that all day, every day, can you help promote my stuff? But I clicked on the trailer. And when I clicked on the trailer, I'm like, yo, this dude is serious, right? This isn't somebody walking around, with their, not that you can't film on iPhones, because you can. Yeah, not that he wasn't walking around flipping to himself, flipping the business. It was professional.
Right.
And when I saw that, I'm like, yo, I need to talk to this cat. And it was just so crazy that once we started talking, he was like, yeah, man, I listened to the show, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, that was a sign. Like I talked about, sometimes you have to listen to the signs. There's signs and there's confirmation out there. And so people who are struggling right now with your businesses and things like that, just keep your mind open and continue to move forward. But it was just so crazy that the professionalism in that trailer and how they approached me was the difference between me like, yeah, all right, get out of here, shutting him down. But no, I mean, it's real, because when you get a lot of stuff out there, so being able to have that professionalism in your marketing and your content. So any of the BEB family members in here, I've been talking about my new website, right? And so my other website was total garbage. And I had a PR person tell me, she said, yeah, your front end is great, but your back end is garbage. You can't do anything with this, right? So just being able to be aligned, and if you're in your business or in business, make sure everything is professional and aligned. And so that was something in terms of marketing I think that's going to get you a long way because that trailer is hot, man. And you have 2 trailers, don't you?
Well, we have 2. Well, I'd say 1 trailer and 1 promotional video, and we have a couple of more promos coming out too.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, in your process, how difficult was it for you to connect with people and for them to share their story? Or was it pretty simple once you say, hey, I'm doing a documentary film, and they were in? Or was it a tussle or a struggle to get people to participate?
For some interviews were quite easy to set up because either Sherman and my EP Sherman knew who they are or had some type of involvement with them, or my other producer, Dominic Scoggins, knew some folks as well. Like, for instance, Judge Rupert Sonberg, Birdsong, I'm sorry, make sure I say his name right. The judge, bringing him on to give a brief history of law in terms of how it relates to black people in Los Angeles. That was key. So he, by him having the Morehouse connection with him, and Sherman's from Morehouse too. So my dynamic Morehouse duo, should I say, made things very, very easy for us. And some of the difficulties, my wife and I would reach out to certain political figures. I won't say any names. I won't put no one down. And that was hard. However, some was very successful. Like we interviewed Janice Hahn about Bruce's Beach.
Okay.
So that came about with through email. So some things were easy to do and set up, and some things were a little difficult.
So as a creator, which you are, what do you want people to get from your documentary series? What do you want them, when they leave, what do you want them to say or think?
2 things. Number 1, when it comes to black businesses, we have a variety. We spend so much money out of our own community, outside of our own people, and we can and afford things or services that we have in-house. All I'm saying is that, can we at least look at ourselves, look at people who look like us to, should I say, to render the services that we're looking for? Secondly, black economics. Every single economic category in America, black people on the bottom. I'm saying, when it comes to the political front, I know we have our way in terms of how we vote, and I'm not here to tell anyone how they should vote. But what I am asking, and I believe they get this from the documentary series, is that we need to put economics ahead of everything else. Because without tangibility, we have nothing, and that's what we have now. Not quite a lot when it comes to ownership.
Nah, that's powerful, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because as a creative, I know there are things that you're trying to get out, and I just wanted to ask you, when did you know that you were on to something? I know when I have a podcast, a certain episode, it's like, yo, that thing clicked. I know I'm getting crazy downloads from this. When did you know that you were on to something, and how did you know it?
Actually, this started prior to me executing the concept. One time I was in Leimert Park, and I give this company a shout out. Hot and Cool, right there in Leimert Park. It's a nice cafe. You guys should check it out since you're here in LA. What happened there? Gavin Newsom, the governor, Gavin Newsom was there, and this is during the time, during the height of the pandemic, and we were filming during the height of the pandemic as well. And I walked into the cafe, and I was like, man, this is Governor Gavin Newsom. He's here. The Fox people were there, whatnot. So what I did is went in my trunk, got my camera, and I didn't have, what I have now, but at the time I had my camera. And I went in there and I asked the governor a question, and we started talking about, because during the time there was riots here in LA because of the George Floyd situation. And I went in there and we had a brief convo about George Floyd and some of the, should I say, things that the local government promised black people in LA or in California. And so I just asked a strong question. I said, so what about reparations? and he went into his soliloquy and political jargon. I'll leave it at that. And I knew then, I said, gotta talk about black economics. It's time for a documentary. We focused on black businesses and economics.
So that was a spark.
It was a spark.
So Now, did you get also confirmation when you started reaching out to the potential business owners?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
that as well. And, my wife as well. I mean, one morning I wake up in the morning and my wife and I were doing our talks in bed, and I was told, I said, Black Business LA. I think that has a good ring to it. And I also believe the businesses that we associate with now, because one of the first things we do, every time we go out and buy certain products, we look for Black businesses, right? And so it just felt like the right thing to do to document something like that.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense. We're going to do the Q&A shortly, so get your questions up, guys. I just want to close with a couple of more questions for you real quick.
Yes, sir.
The first one is there anything that I neglected to ask you that you think that the audience needs to hear?
No, I think we're fine because we're staying within the confines of the documentary series. And if they have questions, if it's something I'm not saying, I'm quite sure they're going to ask me.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the last question, you're on camera now, you're on the spot, all right? If you had the opportunity to have a conversation with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Can I name more than one person, or I'm only stuck with one?
You stuck with one, bro.
All right, man. This is a lot of people, man. I would say Dr. Claude Anderson. I would just put it out there. It's like, and why I say him, because I love his blueprint in terms of how he believes we should operate on the economic front.
Gotcha. All right, so that concludes our interview portion, guys. I want to thank Melvin for coming, coming out there. Yes, sir, brother. We ain't done yet. Make sure you guys support his project, crowdfunding, everything about the film, the documentary series. And it's funny because sometimes the people that you see up here, we're in a small theater today, you might not be able to talk to this guy in 10 years. He might not take my calls, right?
I don't know about that. I try to be humble here, brother.
But remember, like I said, everybody has a story, and we definitely we want to celebrate you, your work, and we really appreciate you, brother, for doing what you're doing and highlighting the community, the positive things about our community. We want to do a Q&A. You guys, we're open book. Ask Melvin anything you want. Ask me anything you want. Entrepreneurship, your business, my business, entrepreneurship in general, Melvin's entrepreneurial journey, and also obviously about his film. And this is interactive. This is all family. So I don't want to have to pick people out of the audience and make them come down here and ask a question, all right? So we live. Let's go. Who's up? Who's up? Now, at this point of the show, we had an amazing Q&A session where a lot was uncovered. It's funny because when I go speak live, a lot of times the Q&A session is the most impactful portion of the session. So what I wanted to do was to split this up into the actual interview and the Q&A. So if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link below to go ahead and watch the Q&A session. If you're listening to this on audio on one of your major podcast platforms, just go into the show description and click the link for the actual Q&A session so you can listen to that. Great information was given in that session by Melvin and myself, and we had some amazing questions. So make sure that you check that out also. That was an amazing interview with Mr. Melvin Graham and his team from Black Business LA, the documentary. Make sure you guys support the crowdfunding initiative and follow him on social media, and look forward to when the series actually comes out on Amazon Prime. You can go to blackbusinessla.com for the website, and you'll find all the links there that you need. Now, I just want to talk real quick about some of the takeaways. And one of the things we talked about in the Q&A session that actually is not shown on the video was about building your own platform. And so one of the things that questions that I was asked was, when you want to partner or collaborate with these big entities like Amazon, Netflix, all of these different entities, what's the best way to do it? And we talked about by building your own platform first, that's going to allow you to create a situation where other people are going to want to partner with you. So we talked about Melvin and his team building their platform. So next time they'll have people fighting over their next documentary series as opposed to having to shop it to different formats and different players in the entertainment game. Also, one of the things that was really stuck out to me was the narrative that we as Black folk have to create for ourselves. We can't keep depending and letting other people create the narrative. You know, it almost seems that trauma is the only thing that sells in the Black community, and that's not true. So if we look at the standard media, or old media, as we would call it, television, radio, movies, all we see is us depicted in situations of trauma, not triumph. And I think this is one of the reasons why we need to own and create our own media and also distribute it so we can offset the negative narrative that's put out there by old media. And so this is one of the things that Melvin and I talked about during the interview, and how and why it's so important for us to support projects like this, positive things, things that bring light, things that show us in a positive situation and in a positive light. So please make sure you guys go to blackbusinessla.com, support my brother and his team and what they're trying to do, because without that support, especially from us, you know, we're not going to be able to keep bringing you these types of projects from some of our most creative minds in the Black community. So definitely support that. Now, before we close it on out, guys, let me just share my social media contact information and resource links real quick. Everything I'm about to tell you is on the website. Go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. You can take the shortcut and go to bebconnect.com. But here we go. So anything long, guys, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Anything long. Twitter, jjones001. Instagram, I got 2 IG accounts, jjones for real. That's JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Also, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Clubhouse @IamJJones. LinkedIn, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. What else is there? Facebook. Yep, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Now, in terms of all of my content and resources, now, I mentioned at the top of the show my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. I also mentioned at the top of the show 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, and they're free to use, family. The first one is BeSmartByBlack.com. If you are a Black product producer and you want to sell your products to Black consumers, upload your information to BeSmartByBlack.com and connect and sell with Black consumers worldwide. Now, if you're a freelancer, I didn't forget about you. If you do anything on Fiverr or freelancer.com, go to hireblackfreelancers.com, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com, upload your information. And once again, you can connect with Black consumers and Black business owners that want to hire Black freelancers. Now, I also mentioned at the top of the show, BEBacademy.com. So if you want to level up your entrepreneur IQ, and you need help with, be it financing, marketing, e-commerce, how to set up your business, the Academy is an online portal that has all types of resources, tools, online courses, and masterclasses to help you level up your entrepreneur IQ. Go to BEBacademy.com and get 3 days free access for everything in the Academy. Now, if you're really trying to level up your e-commerce business, my top of the line course, flagship, pound for pound, the best course on the market for e-commerce, Brand Builder Academy Elite. You can go to BBAelite.com. It's a 15-week implementation program from product ideation to selling on your own site and other applicable sites. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to start an e-commerce brand with physical products or digital products. So make sure you go to BBAelite.com. Once again, guys, all of this information is on the website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. When you go to the website, click the Learn button, and you'll have different tabs. So it'll help you learn and find resources on things such as mindset, strategy, scaling your business, e-commerce, and other important resources that you need to grow your business. Now, we're about to close on out. And like I say, each and every week, guys, we get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. We couldn't do it without you. Please continue to spread the word. about the podcast, about the new website, awesome new website we got, and about the BEB ecosystem. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.